Gentlemen, welcome back for our next session of the day. Recent studies have shed light on the alarming prevalence of mental health issues with leading companies, prioritizing employee well-being. This shift isn't just about compassion, it's smart business. So please ensure that all provide headsets return back to the collections at this point of the end of the sessions. For those of you who are here right now, if you want to come and listen to each session at the Idea Hub, please make sure to grab a pair of headphones, make sure the light is blue, and once you're finished, please give it back. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Pongsakorn, Chanchaisrisakul, Head of Organization and Talent Development at Lazada, who will be moderating this session, World Tech Supporting the Mental Health Movement in Fintech. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you. The mental health movement in fintech as well. Of course, I'm not here alone, but I'm with two experts, Rashmi from Coca-Cola, and we have Jess Low from not only Job Majestic, but a lot of other companies that you are doing as well. So I think I want to set the context of this talk first, and then I want to go to a bit of your short introduction as well. So yeah, like the MC just mentioned, mental health is becoming another buzzword that we hear a lot about, right? And today we want to dig more into it. We want to understand if this issue is real or not, and if there's anything that we can do in order to tackle that. But before we go to that, a bit of self-introduction from both of you, Rashmi and Jess. Maybe we can start with Rashmi first.
Thank you so much, Card. Hi, Jess, and looking forward to this. So I am Senior Director of Talent and Development in Coca-Cola currently. But what I am, what is the relevant thing for this panel is that I'm a well-being and leadership expert, and for the last almost 2 decades, I've been helping companies and leadership achieve high performance without burning out. So that's a little bit about me.
Without burning out. I like what you said there. What about you, Jess?
Hi everyone, excited to be IFX Expo in Thailand, Bangkok. And so by the way, just a very quick self-introduction about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of a talent matching platforms called Job Majestic in Malaysia. And me myself have been working as a recruiters for almost a decade. That's throughout this decade, we have placed more than 3,000 candidates across the world, and also been helping more than 3,000 employers to look for the right talents. So I'm glad to share these topics about mental health among tech talents today.
Okay, thank you, Jess. I think what I will ask you later is I want to hear your view on mental health being a push factors for people to look for another job as well in the later part. All right, so thank you for the self-introduction. Let me start off with this. So again, the buzzword, mental health. It's growing. There's issue here, issue there. What's your view? Is this trend, is this issue real?
Me first?
Okay, we can start with you, Jess.
I think this mental health issue is getting more and more common, especially after COVID. Yes, actually during COVID, we actually hear a lot of people suffers a lot of anxiety problems and depression problems. But even after COVID, the uncertainties is still there. Hence, not only employers, I would say, and employees these days, they are more and more anxious compared to those days. And surprisingly, as a headhunter myself, that we've been working with 18 universities in Malaysia. And I'm quite surprised that the age group which suffered anxiety is getting younger and younger.
Wow.
Yeah, those days we might think that's only maybe people who reach certain age like 40s and they might have this so-called midlife crisis and those things like that. But however, I recently received quite a number of fresh grads, young people in universities actually PM me and say that they are pretty lost, they're anxious, and they're sort of like they lose their purpose in life, and that is actually quite worrying. Yeah.
Purpose, losing their purpose. Okay, I think that's very important because I think in many other countries or market, losing purpose seems to be another reason that people feel that they lose that motivation and mental health becomes to grow and grow as well. Well, what about you, Rashmi? Mental health.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And And what I've realized is that there is a spectrum of mental health. And mostly when people talk about mental health, they are talking about um, clinical depression, because that's where we started it, and things like that. But I think lately people have started understanding that it's a spectrum which is wider. So losing purpose, for example, was never a cause of mental health.
Right.
Was never recognized as something which could affect your mental health.
Within the medical world.
Exactly.
Conservatively speaking.
Exactly. But now there is a wider spectrum. So your anxiety, burnout, workplace stress, you don't necessarily need, people don't self-identify themselves as somebody who needs traditional solutions like therapy or counseling, but their mental health is still affected. So I think that awareness, I think it's starting to happen, but we need more of it.
Okay. Any personal story or something that happened to companies that you're working in, Coca-Cola, for example, or a company that you have served or provide consultation to? Any thing that you see there that you can share, just to give us a more solid picture of how it happens, what happens?
So, one example comes to mind in my previous company, and I was handling the entire Southeast Asia, and this employee was Indonesian. They were in Indonesia, and they were talking to me about how they were gay, but their family didn't know about it, but their colleagues all knew about it. Like outside the confines of the family, everyone knew about it, but his own family did not know about it. And how that played into his mental setup and productivity and performance. And like there could be so many, it's such a personal journey, there could be so many reasons causing harm in mental health, but if we give people that understanding and awareness, that's the first step, I think.
I think one of the things that I just catch there is the cause can be not only from work and business,
Yes.
but it can be
Yes.
something related to your personal life as well. And somehow, when something happens to your personal life, it affected your performance in your professional life.
Absolutely.
And vice versa.
Absolutely.
What about you, Jess?
Like I just mentioned, the age groups who suffers anxiety and mental health is getting younger and younger. I think recently we actually encounter quite a numbers of young people these days, and they told me that they don't want to work. They don't want to work, and it seems like it's very hard for them to find a purpose in their life. And to make a very worse extent, they even lose their desire to eat.
To eat.
To eat, yes. So it's like they cannot find any things that excite them, that do not know what can actually trigger their interest anymore. So I think this issue, like I mentioned, is very worrying. Yeah, I think it's part of the reason is because of social media. If you ask me what is the main factor that actually caused all these things happen.
Maybe
Yeah.
I think we can elaborate on that because
Yeah.
since you mentioned social media, so I want to hear from both of you as well.
Oh,
How?
yeah. Okay. So, for example, let me ask you guys, like, how many years, if you guys remember when you started, graduated that times, do you still remember or do you recall, like, what car your friends driving and, like, how much salaries that your friends is earning or which country your friend travel? And these things, like, it's never bother about our lives. Back then, when I first graduated, I just focused on making money and how I can climb up to my ladder, to my career ladders. But it's nothing to worry about, like, other people's lives. But however, I think social media these days has caused a lot of unnecessary worries, like, and also a tendencies to compare. We tend to compare our lifestyle to others. We tend to compare our achievements with others. And we tend to compare our social status with others. And these all things, it make us worrying so much. In fact, I once heard of something. If you want to become less worrying, try to off our phone for 1 or 2 days for the phone detox, and you will realize that your problem is actually less overwhelming. That's what I heard. Yeah.
I see. I mean, we're not trying to put all the blamings on social media, but of course,
Yeah, good things.
everything, it's a tool, and it depends on how you use it. It can.
And the thing is that we've not been trained to use the tool. It
Good
just
point.
it just came
Good
in.
point.
So I think if we if we train people on how to do it, which now people are doing as a part of digital well-being, then it'll be much better. But I totally agree.
Okay. So from what both of you just shared, then this is what I'm thinking. So I think a lot of people in this room, in this event, we have entrepreneurs, we have people who work for companies and corporates as well. I'm not sure if this happens or not. Maybe both of you can help me shed some light on it. But you're starting your own startups, you're doing your own business, and then you start to have that kind of pressure that, okay, I want to have my company grow to be like that company, this company. Oh, why can that company do it? Why I'm still at this stage? And I think, Jess, you can share on that part. And for Rashmi, I think you can share especially this part for people who works as full-timers in corporates, right? Especially younger generations where I want to climb the ladder quickly. I just start working as a first jobber, and in 5 to 6 years, I want to be GM or vice president already. Just, is there any scenarios or episode or stories that you see related to that?
I think being an entrepreneur, problems never stop. Every day we wake up is like we have to solve different problems from investors' points of view, from teamwork, from sales issues. There are many, many more. So, but for me, it's how can we actually look into this matter is try to focus on solutions rather than problem. Because we have to, first of all, we have to accept that we are living in a world where there are many, many problems that are awaiting for us. First of all, we need to accept that. And second is try not to zoom in our problem, because many of times we feel that we are very overwhelmed by our own problem is because we do not know that other people might have experienced the same thing as well. So we need to ask ourselves and look into others people's. Actually, by doing so, and we'll just feel less overwhelmed. Yeah.
Just want to do a quick follow-up on that. So entrepreneur, a lot of people we have investors, and dealing with their expectation can cause certain degree of tension and stuff as well, and anxiety, and leads to mental issues. So what's your view on dealing with that?
Yeah, I think we just had these discussions over the coffee session just now. I just told Kat that I remember when I first started Job Majestic, I think 3 years ago. And so I told myself, I said, a tech business must need a lot of capital. So I started to pitch a lot of investors. And then soon I realized if we got investors sometimes right, sometimes it might be no difference like working for others if you encounter the investors might not understand about your business, or if the investors is a very, very pushy or aggressive kind of persons, or only focus on ROI. So after a while, I tried to change my mindset, and I try to think that probably I might not need investors, but I might need to think a way of how to boost my own revenue. Because I think the best timing to look for investor is when your business is growing and when your business is expanding, rather than when your business is in need of money, because there is two different perspectives. So I think to set the right mindset is very, very crucial, especially when we need to start our own business. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Jess. Rashmi?
So I truly believe that if it's important to you, you find the energy. I think a lot of young people in workplaces are also facing a bit of stress because two reasons. One is they're confusing, their parameters of success is not clear. I'm not a big fan of saying that don't think about ROI and take care of your health. Right. Because I understand that for somebody who is 15 years, 16 years, just starting the career, the last thing they want to think about, you feel immortal. You feel like nothing can stop you. So I feel there are seasons in life, and you need to recognize that season and what's your focus for that season. So that being said, if somebody wants to climb the ladder, I think the whole premise that if you climb the ladder, and I know people who thought like that, the more you work, the better you will climb the ladder and the more you will compromise your mental health. But that equation is not true. the more you work, you will not climb the ladder. You'll climb the ladder when you are able to add value, you're able to be creative, you'll be able to good decision maker, you're able to innovate, you're able to connect the dots. And those things are helped when you take care of your mental and physical health, of course. So I think that is one myth which I want to dispel. And the other thing is that you don't have to climb the ladder and then be at the top where you don't have anything else in life, right? Like that's not the parameter of success. But we don't teach that. We don't tell people about that. So I think these two things, if we try and understand a little bit better, I think people can just pace their career in a much more optimized manner.
I think what you said resonates with one of this. There's this saying that I got, I think, from 10 years ago. So this person told me that the key metrics of seeing how successful you are at work is your life at home.
Oh, I love that.
I
Yeah.
think what the person,
I
what
love
the person is
that.
trying to say is not literally your life at home, but your personal well-being and, of course, your mental health as well. All right.
Very interesting.
So I think what I'm hearing so far, since we begin this session, is that yes, of course, this issue is real, and it's happening in a lot of places in this world. Not only for business owners, for entrepreneurs, but also people who's working as full timers in corporates as well, and it can happen to everyone, and there are so many causes that can create this mental health issues to you. So I just want to move on to the next part. Okay, so issues happens. There are good days, there are bad days. Bad days comes, season comes, start and when we say season, there's the beginning of the season, there's the end of the season, right? So the season has begin, and then we want to get through the season, right? We want to tackle the issues. We want to find ways on how to manage this mental health issues. So anything that you can share, certain success cases that you have seen within your own organizations or organizations that you have supported, or even better, case of failures in dealing with mental issues.
Wow.
I think we can start with Rashmi first for this one.
So, so I have a couple of I have a failure which I'll share, but I think if we keep it super simple and somebody who's going through it, two things: take a break. So I have seen executives taking sabbaticals when they feel burnt out and come back with a renewed rigor. I have seen people just take a break in the day if they are feeling overwhelmed. And again, depending on what kind of situation you're going, is it a moment in time? Is it a chronic situation, toxic boss, relationship issues, whatever things. I think just this whole concept of taking a step back is extremely empowering when it comes to mental well-being. What that step back looks like is different for different people, and that needs a little bit of reflection. It's not a one-size-fits-all. The second thing I would say is talk. So talk to someone. Most people, we grew up in a place that most people are not able to really talk to themselves and self-talk themselves out of an issue. So sometimes it's a coach, sometimes it's a mentor, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's your parents, whoever is close to you. But I think just the act of verbalizing what you're going through sometimes gives you a renewed understanding of what's happening and gives you the vocabulary. And then once it's out on the table, maybe you can solve for it. Maybe okay, I need help for this. So if somebody is going through it, these are the two things, simple to remember. Take a break, take a step back, and talk about it.
A few follow-up questions that I have, and I want to hear your view on this also, Jess. So taking a break, you mentioned taking sabbatical leave, right?
That's one way.
That's one way, but let's say, just want to zoom in more on this. I think in some countries, maybe not many, employers sees taking sabbatical leave as a taboo. Like, there must be something wrong. This person is taking this leave, and then when the person wants to, come back into the job market, then employers and recruiters, they have certain kind of negative bias on that. So just want to hear your view on you, just as one of your businesses in head hunting and stuff. What's your view on that? Is it okay to take that break, value your mental health, and then come back to job market?
I think this issue is getting pretty common, and I'm not sure what happens in Thailand, but in Malaysia, we started to have these scenarios where many young people, they started to have this career break, we call, to discover themselves. They call it as a self-discovery trip, where they need break times to discover about their strengths, about their purpose in life, and so on. So if you ask my point of view as a recruiter, how employers view this sabbatical leave or career break in their resume, I wouldn't say that it would be a huge impact for their career hunting journey. Because the most importantly part is during an interview, you know how to sell yourself. Because at the end of the day, an employer only want to hire a talent who can contribute the values to the organization. So for me as an employer or as a recruiter myself, I do not really care about like how long break that you taken before, but I only concern about your current situations. Your current situations, can you really ready for your career, for your next career, or what kind of values that you can bring into my company? And during the sabbatical leave or career break, have you managed to discover your strength? And I found that most people, they feel very lost in their life is because they have this difficulty to realize and to discover their own strength. Hence, they are lost. They do not know what to do. They do not know which career path they should go. So for me, it's instead of, maybe this is a suggestion of myself, instead of taking a break, I think what we can do is keep trying different things until we discover something that we are good at. How to define something we are good at is that something that you're good at can help you to generate results, and that build our confidence. So once we have confidence, and we will feel less overwhelmed, and we will feel less low self-esteem. So the confidence things that you cannot just sit home and then wait until wait to have get inspired, or you cannot just go out to have a career break to discover about that. The reality is we have to keep trying, and until that we got that point. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So the whole idea is taking a break, taking sabbatical leave is one of them.
Yeah.
And what you just shared is, yes, there are companies and people out there who's super understanding. And I think in a way it's a reflection of that, what that company or organization values as well, right? The well-being of the person.
But I also want to add that when you're changing companies, yes, but when you're in the same company, of course, people do feel. I have worked in great companies and I didn't feel that there. But I know that everybody is not in those kind of companies, and there could be human biases coming in. But I love Jess's point that how have you discovered your strengths during that, and how do you sell that story? But I would also suggest that in that sabbatical, do something, right? Add skills, which might actually work. And the second thing I would say is that, it's okay if that bias is there, just you will be better off regardless. Like life is hard, so it's okay, but your mental health is much more important. So regardless, take that break and then deal with the issues.
Just want to think about some analogy. So when we talk about human body and mental health, right, we cannot compare it to tools such as car, for example. When an engine breaks, maybe you can still change it, but once your mental health and mental well-being, once it becomes broken, then it's not.
It takes a lot.
Taking it out,
it takes a lot.
Putting something back in, replacing your brain. It doesn't work that way.
And I'd also like to add, I think we forget that we're all going to die one day, and we need to give our best energy to people who are going to be at our funeral. And when you're just continuing work and getting that stress and then taking it out to the people who are going to be at your funeral, I think it's a little bit philosophical. But I think that's a great reminder when you're trying to make that decision that, do I deal with the judgment which comes with a sabbatical versus what is the impact this stress is causing to the people who love me the most.
All right. So I think that's our message to people who's going through tough times and bad days. Taking a break is okay, and but some small remarks from Rashmi. Maybe you spend some time there to develop or learn something new as well. And another one is that talk to someone. That's something that you can do. But talking to someone, maybe talking to experts would be a better idea as well. There are a lot of experts out there who's super willing to support you through your tough time, right? Okay, I'll spend the last part on this then. So we had that message that we just said to people who's going through tough time. What do you want to say to business owners here who may or may have not have staffs who is going through certain mental health issues? How can they start? How should they start to make sure that the business that they're running or the company that they're managing pays good attention to their people's mental health? We can start with, you want to go first, Jess?
So your question is how employers or entrepreneurs can...
Yes, what can they do? How should they start to be a company with...
to care about the mental health things.
Exactly.
Well, it depends on, sometimes it depends on the size of your company. So if let's say you are a startup, maybe your team members that might not be so many or 4 to 5, and your relationship is more like a family. So I think spending more time together, getting to know each other well is the best way to overcome anxieties and mental health thing. But once our company is growing, and so we have more than like 10 or 20 employees, it's a little bit challenging to manage the mental health among the employees. Maybe let me give you an example. Like one of my clients, they are is a very established IT firm in Malaysia, and it's very interesting. They actually have this a Japanese style of a tatami room. Yeah, I think the founders she's inspired by the Japanese culture, the Zen thing. So she set up a tatami room in her company, a very nice with lemongrass and all these aromas feel. So she want to create that ambience, very comfortable environment for her employees to speak with her. Sometimes when we need to speak with our superior, when we go to the office room, sometimes we will feel a little bit of intimidated and a bit nervous, and because of the ambience and things like that. But so she purposely set up a very nice and cozy environment so that people can open up. So whenever we want to speak with expert or whenever we want to speak with someone, it's very important that we have a very good environment that allow us to feel comfortable and open up ourselves. I think that is very important. Yes.
Providing the space.
Yes. Yeah. That's the example that I've seen. I feel is quite interesting. A tatami room. Yeah.
Thank you, Chess. What about you, Rashmi?
I think two things. One is leaders need to create more space to have a well-being conversation, because right now that's not very common. I don't think employers are toxic. I think leaders can be toxic sometimes.
Okay.
So if they just create the space and have a culture of speaking to people, they first start with that. Doesn't cost any money. You just need to have an intention for that. And the second thing is to understand that there is no one size fits all. It's a personalized journey, and you need to provide that leadership support and accessible tools to make sure that people understand how to do it.
I like this combination. So it's like you were talking about providing the space in terms of hardware. The room, the physical assets and stuff. And Rashmi, you're more on the software side of providing that space. So I think these two combinations, seems to go well together as well. All right. So that's for employers. What about any message for people who's going through tough times? What do you want to tell them to help them get through these issues that they're going through?
I would say overwhelm is basically a function of low clarity and high demand on yourself. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a step back and see that one thing which you can do to help yourself. Like, I think people know it. It's just that it's just a lot of things happening at the same time. So once you take a step back, you will get that clarity.
Taking a step back. Jess, any final message?
I think every one of us, right, we cannot live without problems in our life. And as I just mentioned, focus on solutions rather than problem, and see problem as a pushing factor to make us better. I think that is very important. And always remember, solutions, there are always more solutions than problems. Just give you an example. For example, when we are driving, so somehow our car broke down. And then what are the things in our mind back immediately when our car broke down is we might think of calling our friend. Maybe first is call our friend, see whether we have any friends nearby that can actually save our life. Second is maybe the emergency number that we can call. Or probably we can check our car if there is any equipment that can actually help you fix our tire and so on. So look, there are already 3 solutions when a problem arises. So just remember, there are always solutions than problem. Yeah. So focus on solutions rather than problem, and do not see problem as a bad thing, because sometimes I don't know. Actually, I've gone through a lot of problems in my life. I started my first entrepreneurship at the age of 22, and throughout the ways that I don't like to call it as problem. I like to call it as challenges. Yeah. Once we overcome the challenges and we become who we are today.
Taking a break, and maybe during that time of taking a break, think about the solutions, how to move forward as well, right? Okay, so I think the sessions, let me recap a bit. So we have talked about the issue itself is real. Many reasons can cause mental health issues, and it happens to a lot of people, young, less young, I'm not going to say old, less young, or working as business owners or working in corporates. It can happen to anyone, right? But there are ways to kind of move forward with that as well. Taking a break or talking to someone are the 2 ways that we have touched upon today. And employers, companies, or business owners, you can start to pay attention to the mental wellness, mental well-being of the people in your company as well. And I think that's what we have covered today. So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, like Rashmi just said, but understand your issues, understand your context, and let's find a way to move forward with yourself and with your team member and with your business together. So thank you, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you so
Rashmi.
much,
Thank
Kar.
you, Rashmi.
It's been a
Yes.
pleasure, and thanks everyone for being
Thank you,
here in this
everyone.
session.
Thank you so much.
That's it for our session. Bye for now. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.